We're all here, FYI.
We will go ahead and get started. It is, what is today? October 5th, Thursday, October 5th. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We'll go ahead and get started with our roll call. Ms. Lister. Present. All right, thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is executive session. Do I have a motion?
Mr. President, I move the Board of Education of Topeka Public Schools recess into executive session for 10 minutes to discuss confidential employee matters to protect the privacy of the employees discussed pursuant to the employee exception to the Kansas Open Meetings Act. The board will return to open session at 5:41 p.m. in the boardroom. Dr. Anderson, leadership staff, and Angel Simmons are invited into executive session.
All right, thank you very much. We have a motion. Is there a second? All right, second. Any questions or comments? All right. All right. We'll have a vote. Ms. Lister.
Vote is open.
You're being advised that we will not run over.
Okay, I hear what you're saying.
All votes are in and the motion carries unanimous.
Thank you, everyone.
Relation.
So. All right, we are back. And first thing on our agenda is a Pledge of Allegiance.
Yes, sir. And I believe we're playing the pledge, or I'm sorry, we have our senior of the month. We're going to turn it over to you from Highland Park High to share the Pledge of Allegiance. I think she's on virtually. So Ms. Dean, you want to go ahead and start with the pledge?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Dean, and they'll hear from you momentarily.
All right,
Ready?
thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is adoption of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
Mr. President, I move the board adopt the agenda as presented.
All right, thank you very much. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Schmidt. Questions or comments? All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and move to a vote. Ms. Lister.
Vote is open. All votes are in and the motion carries unanimously.
All right, thank you very much. Now it's the highlight of our evening, which is school highlights. Dr. Anderson.
We do love starting our time together with school highlights. Before we jump into school highlights, President Munoz, we'd like to take a moment of silence in honor of the memory of two students. One is Zoe Felix, who was a former student at Shaner from last school year, who passed away tragically, and we would like to take a moment of silence in her memory. Our second student is McKenna, who is a student that attended McEachran, who passed some time ago, but the service is this evening. And as a result, at 6 o'clock, Mr. Sharp and I will depart and head to those services. And McKenna passed from health reasons. So at this time, if we could take a moment of silence. Thank you. I know we all will be uplifting both families and their loved ones. I also would like to highlight that this is Miss Sarah Sharp's first meeting as Assistant Superintendent for Early Childhood Elementary Education and Support Services. So congratulations. You have a camera on me. What about Miss Sharp? She's the one I'm talking about. So you got her over there. So Ms. Sharp has been with us over 20 years. This is her first meeting in her official capacity. And we know we have a lot of principals on the screen. And so join me in congratulating Ms. Sharp. All right, with that, as we move into our other highlights, we're going to start with our students first and then go straight to our principals who are on the screen. We know you all love resolutions, but we're not going to read that tonight. When you adopt the agenda as the consent items, the resolutions, we thank you for acknowledging our principals. We thought it might be nicer to actually see a few principals. So they're on the screen just to answer any questions that you might have for them. But let's start with our students first. Please join me in this video. Ms. Dean, we think you're going to love it.
Hello, I'm Manya Dean and I'm a senior at Highland Park High School. I'm in band, I'm in orchestra, I play soccer, but I'm a captain of the volleyball team and I try to lift everybody up.
Manya is fierce undercover, so you don't even realize how much power and passion she has inside of her because she's kind of quiet, stealth through the hallways. She experiences so many things. She's involved in sports, she's involved in music, she's involved in high-level classes. She just does a little bit of everything and tries everything, including wrestling.
Started off with their oldest brother, Mason, and Miles, and then Morgan, and now Manya. Manya is the last of them. She's the only girl, but she's very much a go-getter, very advocate for herself. She pays attention to academics. She's involved with sports. She always wants to do her best. She's one of those kids that will always be there and really successful as far as academic and as far as being in school.
I definitely see Manya as a leader for other classmates because everyone goes to her if they have like problems with an assignment or they need help or they just need her advice. She's a great kid, She always gets her work done. She comes to school every day ready to work.
She's one of a kind. She is determined and she's willing to try everything. She just goes straight forward and she is not shaken.
I was very quiet my freshman year. I've opened up a lot and I've met a lot of new people and just my friends and spending time with coaches, learning from coaches and teachers. I plan to go to Cody College in Missouri and major in business. I want to start a dog training business.
I think Manya is a great kid. I'm really excited to see what she does in the future. The sky's the limit for her. She can do anything she wants.
She always wants to do her best, and I think her parents instill that work in them. Do what you want to, Manya. Dedicate yourself to it like you always have, and you'll be just fine in life.
She's extremely humble, so she's not one that is loud about needing recognition, but because of that, she needs to be recognized. No matter what her surroundings are, she's able to move forward and keep on her path without anyone disrupting that.
I feel like I'm setting a good example for the underclassmen. Just do your best. I try my best, so I want to see that from others too. It's just throughout the years, I've had a good time.
All right, and Ms. Dean is on with us, and I will tell you, she expects people to be on time and show up when they're supposed to, as I ran into her in the hallway at Highland Park. And Ms. Dean, you were fussing for your own teammates to make sure they were on time, and she was fiercely walking through that hallway, and I had to stop to say, aren't you the senior of the month? So with that, Ms. Dean, I know our board members might have some questions for you. So we're going to turn it over to them. And then Ms. Watson, if you wanted to end with a comment, I know you'll be giving Ms. Dean her gift. She's an athlete, so she's at school and at her athletic event, but we'll turn it back over to you at the very end, Ms. Watson. Board Member Munoz, I'll turn it back over to you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Well, Ms. Dean, congratulations on this award and this recognition. It's a big deal. And to be somebody who was selected for this recognition means a lot. We've seen a number of students this month is about you and what you've done and accomplished. So congratulations. I want to ask to see if we have any questions from my other colleagues here. All right, Ms. Schmidt.
Congratulations, Ms. Dean. This is something to be very, very proud of. My question to you is, what would your senior self go back and tell your freshman self?
That's a hard question.
So Ms. Dean, what advice would you give to other young freshmen that are coming in Highland Park?
Don't be afraid to talk to people and ask questions. Ask for advice from coaches or teachers or even upperclassmen.
I think that's phenomenal advice. I know even in the business world, that's something that we have to be very cognizant of and train ourselves to do, asking for feedback. So that's great that you've picked that up at such a young age. I wish you the best of luck at the rest of your senior year and at college next year.
Thank you.
Are there other questions for Ms. Dean? Ms. Dean, tell us more about Cody College and what attracted you about that institution and what you see your plans in the future looking like.
I went to Cody over the summer as a college visit. I got a tour of the school and I got to meet the volleyball coach. And I really liked how everybody was there. Everybody there was really welcoming and kind, and the coach was really nice, and she wasn't worried about if you messed up. She just wanted to see what you could do.
Well, it sounds like that's a great place to be able to grow and to, fill out in terms of a young person. So we wish you all the best of luck. Again, congratulations on being recognized. This is a really big deal. We're so happy to be able to share this recognition with you.
Thank you.
Ms. Watson, do you have any words?
And Ms. Watson, as you take yourself off mute, there you go. We know our staff members from HPH said a lot, but did you want to end with any concluding remark?
Yes, I want to make it quick because she is on edge trying to get back into that game, but we are excited to have her here and sorry to lose her as always with the whole Dean family. And I got a little token of our appreciation. And since it was really kind of hard to find Cody College stuff, there is a gift card in there for her to purchase just Cotty College gear.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ms. Watson. And Ms. Dean, as we shared with you and congratulate you, as I mentioned to you, the very first senior of the month is always the most impressive because you say, who comes to your mind first? And it was you. So it's our privilege to congratulate you. Enjoy the game, and we look forward to seeing all the things you'll do in the future.
Thank you.
All right. As we prepare to transition to our next highlight, it is the National Principals Month. Thank you in advance for accepting and recognizing principals through the proclamation, which you will approve when you have the consent agenda. We do have 3 leaders on with us. We have Mrs. Pomeroy, who is the president of the Principals Association. We have Mr. Hare, who's the lead for the middle school. And Mr. Dick is at Highland Park High observing games as the athletic director. So he is on Zoom as well. They didn't have prepared remarks necessarily. They're just here if you have any questions that you'd like to ask of our principals. But we do have a graphic. Those are all of our principals. We just want to acknowledge them publicly, thank them for all that they do, and we appreciate the hard work to get the school year started. I'll turn it over to our board members if there's a question or two for the middle, elementary, or high school levels that you may have.
Questions for our principals? While you're thinking of one, yes, Dr. Bonebrake.
When I was going to grade school, I just ran a couple blocks. And now Dr. Gray and I helped fix Jardine Middle School's 45-minute plus wait to pick their students up. I wonder if any other schools have the problem of extensive, lengthy pickup and drop-off times for the students, because it gets very frustrating for parents. I think Ms. Pomeroy even had death threats, and there were road rage incidents at Jardine till Dr. Gray and I helped out. So I just wonder if there is any incidents of transportation difficulties.
And if I could, Dr. Bonebrake, because I know these principals know about their school. So it was Jardine Elementary where you were at. And I will tell you, if Ms. Pomeroy wasn't there leading 700 kids, you'd have no school to go to help contribute some feedback to. So we thank you and Dr. Gray for doing that. But we know that Ms. Pomeroy has been diligently keeping that system going and having systems in place for drop off and pick up in that space. Ms. Pomeroy, is it still going well? Dr. Bonebrake wants to know, is it still going well? Are you getting any threats over there other than?
No, not at all. And it's actually going quite well. We're actually faster now than we've ever been. We can actually do about a 30-minute dismissal now here at Jardine Elementary. So it just gets better and better and better. And I did tell Dr. Anderson, I heard this from a lot of my elementary colleagues, really having those kindergartners on the first day of school contributed to us being able to spend a lot of time on that first day teaching systems to our youngest learners. And we had a flawless start, I truly believe, because of that. So no, we're doing great.
And so it sounds like, Dr. Bonebrake, you may want to have coffee over there one day this month during National Principal Recognition Month, highlight what they're doing. And so is it a day, Dr. Bonebrake, at some point this month?
Have him ride his bike over. Have him ride his bike over with his morning coffee. We'll hang out with him in the morning at drop off.
All right, so it's a date, so he'll plan to come on by to see how it's doing. But it is great, continuous improvement that you've continued to further expand what you're doing. Thank you.
I do have a question for the principals. Every year is different. Every year has, it's a new group of students. I'd love to hear some highlights so far. I know we've only been in school for a month or so. What's been great so far this school year for each of you?
Mr. Dick, I know you're outside, so we're going to start with you. And if there are no other questions, we'll let you all get back to the business of what you're doing in your buildings. I see some of you are in your offices. Mr. Dick, do you want to start? What's a highlight for you?
Sure. I think for me, the biggest highlight is just being back in a regular, large, comprehensive high school full of students, staff, and all of that, and just getting to work with all those folks and all of the stuff that happens around there. I'm a high school guy. I enjoy all the high school activities and everything. Out here at Hummer tonight with the Highland Park game, making sure everything goes well. So it's just good to be back doing all those things. And I think for staff and kids and everybody after the pandemic and all that, I think it's the first time that I hear a lot of them say it feels normal again, like school ought to be. We just had homecoming last week, and so that was pretty exciting, and all of the people that are back for that and everything. And so it's really just been a great year all in all, and we're having a lot of fun.
Thank you, Mr. Dick. All right, we'll turn it over to you, Mr. Hare, as we go through the secondary end for our middle school. He's our lead for our middle schools.
You betcha. I would concur with Mr. Dick, obviously. And I know Dr. Anderson and I have had this conversation too, that it's been a couple years, since COVID, and this year seems like a much better start. Kids seem to be back in the flow better and better every year, and we're kind of getting that sense of normalcy again. I was able to host a couple of school board members this last week who came over to check out our newcomer program. And it's always fun to see, show off all the great things that we have. I know Mr. Tatum, I saw him on here tonight. He happened to come by and got to see some great things happening at Jardine. So it's always great to show off a lot of our hidden treasures, because we have a lot going on and a lot of great things. And just showing that off and seeing how hard kids and teachers are working that's the highlight.
Thank you, Mr. Hare. And Ms. Pomeroy, who is the lead of the Principals Association. I will turn it over to you to share about any highlights.
Yes, I concur with my two colleagues. It does feel like the best start that we've had. I know personally here at Jardine, probably the best start we've ever had. But for sure in the last couple of years, it does feel a lot more normal. And I know a lot of our goal this year in my building, but also with my elementary colleagues as I talk to them, is really just bringing back the joy to education. Making sure that we're putting out there what we want to get back and highlighting ourselves as educators and the important work that we do, and speaking highly of ourselves and enjoying the profession that we chose, and bringing that joy to our classrooms. And I think that, I'm seeing that with my teachers. And so they're getting that back. And we are having a lot of fun over here. So we're working hard, but we're also trying to remember why we do this. And it's those kids that walk through the door every day, excited to learn. And so that's really been our theme. And I'm feeling that more this year than I have in the last several years. So I think that's probably been the most exciting thing for me.
Thank you, Ms. Pomeroy. If it's okay with our board members, we're going to free our principals back up to get back to the business of what they're doing. And we thank you for the ones that have joined us, but also thank you for all of our principals for all that you do. We appreciate you tremendously and your leadership. She mentioned about joy and bringing back the joy in school and what you're doing, and highlighting ourselves and what we're doing and what public schools do. So this year, for part of our staff development, we are highlighting public schools in many ways. One, we are having a gathering between 10:30 to 11:30. We will have a greeting from our teachers of the year that are regional winners, the most recent region winner, and others. We will also be highlighting some of the academic successes. It's really an hour of power. And during that hour of power, we are talking about all the great things that public schools are doing in Kansas, but what we are doing as Topeka Public Schools. There's a lot you might hear that public schools may not be doing, but there's a tremendous amount that we can share that we are doing. I will be highlighting some students. A paraprofessional has a particular treat. And we also are giving away Eclipse glasses, because part of the theme that Mr. Garrett and Dr. Gray and team came up with was not to eclipse. Mr. Garrett, help me with that. You can't eclipse our excitement or something to that end. I know it's a little corny, but the eclipse is that Saturday. So Mrs. Wallace did purchase Eclipse glasses as our instructional component. Each teacher will leave with that attends that ceremony. TPAC, thank you, TPAC. They gave us the space for free. All we had to do was ask. And we really are excited. The drum line will be performing. So we're excited about really highlighting public schools and being intentional about that all year long, before the legislative session is in session. Later in November, when it is in session, we actually have some parents who will be joining us this time when we talk about our legislative agenda. That'll be a new piece that we bring to the table, but that's for later conversation. So under that highlight, Ms. Wallace, when I leave, which I'll be excusing myself momentarily, Ms. Wallace certainly can share very briefly the different kind of staff development. You know what 10:30 to 11:30 looks like. The other component that I asked Ms. Wallace was to create a staff wellness section of our staff development. So she has created several sessions that are staff development and staff wellness in terms of economic wellness, mental health wellness, nutrition wellness, but wellness, physical wellness. So she has really looked at all of those categories and created some optional sessions people can go to should they choose to. So they'll have a variety of things that they can attend. So she'll speak very briefly to that. And as we're highlighting our educators, Mr. Gowan was highlighted today at the FCC. I'm sure Mr. Munoz, who was there, might make some remarks a little bit later. As I close those highlights, those are really all the highlights that we have. I do want to close on the comment for this evening. I would be remiss if I did not make this comment that as we close out the week, it has been a week of challenge for all of us in the community. In having a student tragically pass impacts the entire community and certainly has shaken the entire community. And we this evening, again, will be going to a service for a student who passed some time ago, but that student's mother has chosen to give back to Topeka Public Schools by working at the school that her child attended. So she is one of our staff members now, and I'll be attending that service. We will be planting a tree in her memory, in Michaela's memory, at McEachran. The most recent passing, which is the tragic death of Zoe Felix, will also be remembered, and we'll be giving out a statement as the week ends with ways in which we will be remembering Zoe and ways in which individuals can contribute to a preschool fund should they choose to do that. In memory of her, if there is not memorial services shared in the immediate future, and should those be shared, funds certainly can be sent there as well, directly to the funeral home. We at Shaner and across the school district love and care for our students deeply, and when there are matters of concern, our educators work tirelessly to bring that to the attention of agencies and in a general sense. So when a child dies, it is a challenge for all of us. So we just want for you to continue to uplift Zoe's classmates and staff and all of those who she loved, as well as think about Michaela's mother and her family and all of those that she touched as well. Thank you for giving me that moment. And I will turn it back over to our board, our school board, and Ms. Wallace and Mr. Robbins will continue with the meeting from here.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Anderson. Next on the agenda is public communication. I understand we do have one. Is there any others, Ms. Lister? Okay. Let's see here. Next I have is John Parton. You want to come on up? John, while you're walking up, I'm going to read something here for you for all of us. Please come forward and state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes to address the board. We ask that your remarks to the board be respectful. If you should have a complaint against a specific employee, we ask that you submit your written complaint to the superintendent. If the complaint is against the superintendent, please address your written complaint either to me, to the board president, or to the clerk of the board. Thank you very much.
Excellent. So my name is John Parton. I live at 1606 Southwest Boswell. I've spoken to the board a couple of times. I think I have a bit of a reputation of coming in and getting really animated and trying to fill up all my time and really address everything that I want to address, but thought maybe I'd give you some insight into why I'm so animated. Last night, I had the privilege of seeing our high school marching bands perform at Washburn. And as a graduate of T-High 06, it always fills me with nostalgia to hear them perform. But when my 5-year-old son said that he wanted to be in the T-High marching band when he grew up, I just couldn't contain how proud I am of my community. Hoy, hoy, mighty Troy. So CORA, the Kansas Open Records Act, requires a thorough search for documents be executed upon request. On September 11th of this year, I made an official core request. I named specific people in my request who could be in possession of the document. I received official confirmation that the document does not exist approximately 24 days after my initial inquiry today. In the response, it was made clear that the persons who I had named in my original request were not contacted until today. Under current policy, the superintendent is charged with prescribing procedures to ensure legal compliance with CORA. Given that, I believe that it ought to be standard procedure to reach out to named parties when official CORA request is received to ensure that a thorough search is conducted as required by law. I think that's common sense. It's beyond frustrating that a simple response telling me that what I was asking for didn't exist took almost an entire month, and I have a suspicion it would have taken even longer had I not submitted my intent to address the board today. However, with all that said, I have been informed that there is now work being done by the school board policy committee to adopt or consider new policy or guidelines to help aid in the district complying with their legal obligation under CORA. I am genuinely excited to see what changes the policy committee comes up with. I believe that stronger leadership and clearer guidelines can greatly enhance transparency and help our community stay involved. I really genuinely feel that there's always room for improvement, and I am looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with.
All right. Mr. Parton, thank you very much. Next item on our agenda is disposition of business by consent. Do I have a motion?
Mr. President, I move the board approve the items of business by consent as presented and authorize the board president or superintendent to sign the special project and purchasing contracts for and on behalf of the board.
All right, thank you very much. There is a motion. Is there a second? Second by Dr. Bowenbrake. Questions or discussion? Yes, question.
Yeah, I have a quick question about item number 8.8, which is the Microsoft licenses for staff. Is that a specific number? I'm trying to remember back to my IT days, and it seems like we would buy groups of licenses. And I noticed on there that was for 2,000 licenses specifically. Is that a one-to-one for people that we have that need them, or?
This particular request is an expansion of a prior annual renewal. We renewed our annual licenses for Microsoft based upon the number of staff members who were using the Microsoft Office suite. These additional licenses are as a result of us also using Microsoft for our security protocols. So we have additional people using it that weren't using the Office suite. So we did need to increase our Office licensing accordingly.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move to a vote. Ms. Lister.
The vote is open.
I'm gonna,
Yay.
yay.
Thank you. All votes are in and the motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much. Next item on our agenda is superintendent's report. Ms. Wallace, will you be working with us on that?
Yes, tonight's superintendent's report is major maintenance. Mr. Seitz?
Distinguished members of the board, thank you for allowing me to present this evening. Basically, we're just going to go over the major maintenance plan for this 2023-24 fiscal year. I'll go over individually by each school, and then if you have any questions at the end, I'll be glad to answer any questions that you may have. Starting with Topeka High School, we are going to replace the chillers there. We did this past summer, the first floor, replaced all the unit ventilators, and we were having a lot of cooling issues, which were unrelated to the new unit ventilators, but they were totally related to the chillers. And so we deemed that it's necessary to replace those chillers so that we don't have to go through those cooling issues again moving forward.
And I'm sorry, I just want to jump in. By chillers, you mean?
So basically, the chillers are what provides the cool air that then flows through. In this case, if you've got the unit ventilators in a classroom and you got the air that blows out and cools that classroom, it's the chiller that provides that cool air to circulate throughout the entire building. So,
Thank you.
yeah. And then as a part of that, as we continue to do these larger mechanical projects, we will start to replace our older control systems. And that basically is equipment that allows us to remotely monitor airflow through the different buildings and make adjustments remotely. So that'll be a part of that project. And then we will move to the next phase of the lighting improvements inside the auditorium. After this next go around, I believe we will be done with all the sound improvements, and we'll have one more phase to go with the lighting, and we'll basically be state of the art at Topeka High. Then we'll move next to either Highland Park or Topeka West and do the very same type of stuff there, so that we'll be in great shape for in the future for all the different events that take place inside those auditoriums. So, and the dollar amount for the chiller replacement, $450,000. The control component of that's $200,000, and then the lighting upgrade $260,000 for a $910,000 spend at Topeka High. At Topeka West, in the choir room that includes risers, there's just some old worn carpeting that's been in need of replacement for a while now, and so we're going to go ahead and replace the flooring in there. And then we had some damage in the lobby outside the auxiliary gym at Topeka West, and so we're going to go ahead and replace all of that tile in the lobby area of Topeka West. That total amount is $60,000. And then we finally are going to be able to move forward with the ADA ramp that will go through the center of campus. We had to postpone that from last year, but the bids are getting ready to go out any day now. So we will definitely be able to finally fulfill that project to make things basically ADA compliant as you go from the A building, what we call the administration building, all the way up into the center of campus. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Quick question, Mr. Seitz. Can you give us a description of what that ADA project is going to look like? Just,
yes.
I mean, just kind of to give us just a sense.
Yeah, I can. So I'm sure all of you have been on the Topeka West campus before, and there is a large ramp that already goes up there, but it's not ADA compliant. We're going to build an adjacent sidewalk with landings along the way that's going to follow that same ramp, but that it will then be ADA compliant, and we'll extend the canopy over to cover that. And so basically it's mainly just going to look like we widened it with a separate sidewalk that follows up.
Okay. Okay, great. I will be definitely looking forward to seeing this come together. Thank you.
Good. So total spend at Topeka West then would be $210,000 with $150,000 allocated to that project. Chase Middle School, we will continue into the next phase. What we're doing there, and it's going to take a couple more years after this next phase, to basically modernize their central air conditioning. The way the air conditioning was configured there did not make a lot of good sense. It's very old technology. And so by the time we're done, we're going to be very efficient with the way we will be able to cool and heat that facility as well. And we've got $345,000 put towards that project for a total spend of $345,000. Eisenhower Middle School, we are going to do a total fire alarm upgrade. We will continue to do this for a while until we basically have modernized our, fire alarm systems throughout the entire district. And Eisenhower's in the most need right now. And so basically we have $185,000 allocated to that project. But the good news is that we qualified for $185,000 grant, and we're awarded that. And so we are going to put that $185,000 towards that project, so it will not cost the district any money.
Is this the grant that the state of Kansas Department of Education was offering?
Yes.
And so are we going to be participating in the monitoring, the continued monitoring that is my understanding that was part of those fire alarm upgrades?
What we'll do is basically because I haven't looked at the grant recently, we'll follow all the conditions of that grant. So if there's follow-up that has to be done once it's installed, then we'll do whatever we need to do to be compliant with the grant. So
outstanding.
Okay. And then we are going to move with another phase of the air conditioning replacement there. We're going to do the same thing that we did at Jardine Middle School. We basically will eventually pull all the unit ventilators, those individual cooling units that are inside the classrooms, and we'll go to rooftop units. That's what we did at Jardine Middle School. And so we'll do as many classrooms as we're able to within that budget of $295,000. And so the total spend, not taking into account the fact that we get to $185,000 from the grant, would be $295,000 allocated to Eisenhower Middle School. At French Middle School, they are the last middle school that we have not refurbished the tennis courts. And if any of you have been by Eisenhower to see how nice those tennis courts are, we'll do the very same thing at French. And then we will have good playing surfaces at all of the middle schools. And so what I'll do next, at least what I'll propose that we do next, is go over to Highland Park and get those courts back in good condition. So that's my goal. So. And again, total spend there, $220,000 at French. Jardine Middle School, between the tennis courts and the west side of the building, there's a long drive that goes back around to the back side of the building that's in disrepair. And so we're going to do asphalt replacement there for a total spend of $210,000, which will be the total spend for that school. Landon Middle School, the south drive that basically is between the south side of the building, and I believe it's Skateaway is their neighbor. Down that long drive, we're going to go ahead and take care of the asphalt replacement there. And then they will be the last middle school to get the asphalt track. And so then we will have basically put all asphalt tracks at all of our middle schools, with the exception of Robinson already had one through Parks and Rec. And then the city of Topeka did something special for us at Chase Middle School to give us one there as well. So we'll be in good shape with all our facilities at the middle schools at that point. So the asphalt project, $140,000, the asphalt track, $300,000, for a total spend at Landon of $440,000. Robinson Middle School, a lot of our schools.
Mr. Seitz, I'm sorry, we have a question over here. Dr. Bonebrake.
Does the asphalt cost less than the sort of artificial turf at Topeka West track? Because
yes, quite a bit. So
quite a bit.
When I get further in, you'll see that we're gonna refurbish the track at Hummer. It's quite a bit more expensive to do that. So
because that's a lot better surface to run on.
oh yeah, trust me, I know. So I've run on asphalt. That's harder on the knees as we get older. So, yeah. Okay, so at Robinson, a lot of our schools we have where you'll walk in to an entrance and then you'll stop because there will be a whole nother set of doors to go through. We refer to those as man traps. We are going to go ahead and put that same system in at Robinson. Even though there are those sets of doors, we're going to put our more modern doors that we have been putting in at other locations. And then we're going to put a pass-through window that goes into the classroom that is adjacent to there, and they're actually going to move some of their office personnel, not this year, but next year, so that they can control the visitors coming in and out at Robinson a lot better and more efficiently. So that's what's going on there. 95,000 will be the total spend for that at Robinson. Loman Hill will be the next elementary school that we do the total unit ventilator replacement in all of the classrooms and offices in that building, similar to what we did at Whitson last summer. And then again, the controls that go with that. So the total spend, 520,000 at Loman Hill, 360,000 for the unit ventilator replacement, and then 160,000 for the controls. McClure, we're getting close to having all of our elementary schools have new windows and doors. We had already done the doors at McClure several years ago, and so they're going to be next to do the window replacement. And at that point, I believe that we're down to Randolph as the final elementary school. So in my time here, when I started in 2013, we've made a lot of progress to upgrading what I call the exterior facade of our schools. So, and that total spend will be 390,000. Randolph Elementary School, we're going to do the similar thing at Robinson, where you come in their main entrance, which really faces the side of their building. And we're going to, the interior doors are just made of wood right now, so they're not near as secure as the others. And so we'll go ahead and do the very same thing with the exact same spend as Robinson, $95,000, the total spend there. At Ross Elementary School, just a small project. We did one hallway where we replaced a lot of interior doors, and we're going to move to an adjacent hallway and give them all new classroom doors. Eventually, we'll start, once we get all the windows and doors taken on the exterior, we're going to have to start looking at our classroom doors, because if you've been in some of our elementary schools, even middle schools, and some of those classroom doors are getting in bad shape, and so that'll have to become a future plan of attack for us. So State Street, we had a lot of issues with leaks and what have you, so we're going to replace a good portion of that roof. Let me back up to Ross. The total spend is 45,000 on that project. The roof replacement at State Street, 180,000. And then we're going to do a small fire alarm upgrade. Right now, Chase and State Street share some of the alarm systems. So when they're trying to do fire drills, it gets a little dicey. And so this will help us allow them to act separately once we finish that project. Total spend of 45,000. So the total spend at State Street will be $225,000. And then now this will show you Dr. Bonebrake at Hummer. We're going to do another section of asphalt replacement at the natatorium for $125,000, but you see the track replacement, $700,000. It's very expensive to redo those tracks. And so total spend of $825,000 at Hummer. And then finally at Shaner, they have the original boiler, from whenever I got here, before they had actually transformed it into the early learning center. And so we're going to replace that boiler for a total spend of $175,000. And then Mr. Robbins, in his generosity and also incentive to get all the free and reduced forms collected, offered a $10,000 incentive, and 22 schools stepped up to the table. I don't have that list right with me, but we can get that to you. And so 22 schools will qualify for a $10,000 project of their choice that they'll work out with our facility group and we'll take care of their needs that way. So that's 220,000 for a total ask of 5,220,000 on our major maintenance. So if there's any further questions, I'm here.
Any questions, Dr. Bonebrake?
Yeah, I take it there's competitive bidding in this process. That's gotta be.
Oh, yeah,
assuming.
I'm a quasi-government entity, so I don't get to take those liberties. I might be able to actually save us some money if I didn't have to do that, but I think we probably save money going through the public bidding process, I would have to think.
Are they all local providers or we have?
We encourage local when it comes to like a track, for instance, you're talking about national entities that are going to bid on that, right? So, but we are very proud that we do deal with quite a lot of local contractors with a good portion of the work that we get done in the school districts. So.
It's like redoing a tennis court. It's hard to get anybody local.
Yeah, so tennis courts, the company that just did our tennis courts, we also work with them on some of our playground stuff. It's called Riggs Recreation, and they're out of Kansas City is where they're from. So, and there's also a company called McConnell and Associates, also out of Kansas City, that can do tennis courts. So we at least try to stay in the state if we can't stay within Topeka. So.
All right. Mr. Seitz, any other questions? Yes, Mr. Tatum.
Not a question, but just a comment, Mr. Seitz. Every time you come, I always learn a lot. So really do appreciate when you come and share this information with us. And also very much appreciate you and your team working diligently to make sure everything is running the way it's supposed to, and that the classrooms have what they need in order to do a great job. Just, I guess I do have a minor question just for my own curiosity. With the grand total of money being allotted to these major maintenance projects this year, how does that compare to what we've seen over the past several years?
I think since I've been here on the low end, and which is probably when I first started, maybe about 3 million. We generally, this is about as high as we go in the $5 million range, but if Mr. Robbins wants to expand on that, he can certainly expand on that. So.
I think, the lowest that we have been was back during the block grant years. And the lowest that we spend for major maintenance is 2.5 million then. And as Rob indicated, the amount that you see is probably our high water mark that we try to stay at, okay, for major maintenance, because we have other, capital outlay needs, okay, that to be satisfied too within that budget.
Okay.
Of course, 2x4s cost 4 times what they did a year ago. Was there any money to that little theater beside Topeka High's auditorium?
We are, if you've been in there, we've already taken all the all that wood mezzanine and stuff out of there, and it's converted now to a shell. They can use it a little bit for like some gathering space, but we are continuing to move forward to try to see what it would take to eventually convert that. A lot of it's going to involve some funding that we feel like that nonprofit, the Bolt Committee, can give us. And I've been engaged, apologize, his name's escaping me, but your friend that was spearheading.
Rich Hayes.
Yeah, and Richard Hayes, yes. And so we've been in touch, and we're continuing to explore. Yes.
All right. There's no other questions. Mr. Seitz, thank you very much for updating us. I appreciate it. Obviously, all of this work that goes into it to make sure to support our students and our staff, to make sure that learning goes on unimpeded. So we appreciate your work. Thanks so much.
We would appreciate it if the board would be willing to take action tonight, okay, on this major maintenance plan so that we can start with, contacting bidders. It's a pretty lengthy process.
Yeah, that is next on our agenda. Thank you very much. All right, so action item today is the approval of the major maintenance proposal. Do I have a motion?
Mr. President, I move the board approve the major maintenance projects for 2023 and 2024 as presented.
All right, we have a motion. Is there a second? All right, second by Dr. Schumacher. Any questions or concerns? All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and move to a vote. Ms. Lister?
All votes are in and the motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much. Next item is board member comments. Dr. Bonebrake.
Had a telephone conversation with an executive of Stormont and Blue Cross Blue Shield, and I got him to finally admit that this wellness, FERDA and TRIA were mainly merchandising, but you didn't hear that from me.
All right.
No further comment.
Okay.
That's
Dr. Schumacher.
damage enough.
Mine will be a little bit lengthier than that. So technology committee. We met last Monday. Yes. A week ago Monday. And we did talk about the affordable connectivity program. And actually today I saw on my Instagram feed, I saw a familiar face. Mr. Gowan was part of the partnership between the city of Topeka through his role through the TSC Get Digital Coalition, and then the FCC, the task force that they put together. And they're a city, so I'm reading directly from Instagram. So they're a city that was chosen to host listening sessions selected due to the efforts of the TSC Get Digital Coalition, a local program focused on providing affordable and equitable digital access and digital literacy, which Mr. Gowan has had a huge role in. So, and there's a nice picture of him there. So we appreciate that. And we did discuss that at our technology committee as well. We went over synergy and, you know, with the quarter wrapping up earlier tonight, Mr. Munoz said we'd been in school for a month. It's been a quarter.
I'm just trying to keep up.
Yeah. 2 months, I think. And so the quarter grading process as we get ready for parent-teacher conferences later this month. We talked about the cybersecurity training and some of the other stuff around like our content filter and that kind of stuff. And then also the continued rollout of the interactive panels and how the team is trying to meet the needs of all the staff, because it seems like that's been a great rollout, but all of that takes some time. So they've been working on moving that forward. And then finally, Ms. Beasley is meeting with the, which I found interesting, you know, it's about using those other resources that we have, but she's been meeting with the Topeka Shawnee County Public Library to try to make sure our students have access not only to the library and the physical resources, but also some of the digital resources, because there's a lot there that I think goes unnoticed, not only by our students, but even by the adults in our community. So so we had that, and then just quickly, you know, just as our speaker for public comments, I also was at Washburn University last night, watching the Capital City marching. I don't know what it's called, but Washburn puts on a marching showcase competition for area high schools, and I was able to enjoy all three of our signature high schools, so Topeka High, Topeka West, and Highland Park, participate that, and watch the three of them participate the week before on the Wednesday at Hummer, and thoroughly enjoyed. As a former band nerd who was able to get on the field on homecoming this last week with the alumni band, I was able to enjoy all three of our high school marching bands, but also some of the other local area high school marching bands. And I'm just very proud of all the students and the staff that put that on. And then today, my fourth grader visited Kansas Park. So it's Kansas Park fourth grade science time. And he extracted DNA from a strawberry, I guess. And he said, I can do it at home. So I'm hoping to make some mutant strawberry dino DNA, just like Jurassic Park. But that, I know there's a lot of work that goes into that, knowing Miss Kimsey and being friends with Miss Kimsey. Every time this year, I see lots of photos from our students that are going through TCALC, our future educators, but also some of the student teachers that come and help us from Emporia State and I believe maybe K-State or KU. But spending a lot of time out at Kansas and putting every fourth grader through that park is quite a feat, I believe. But it's one that I know, at least in my house, was very much enjoyed and very much appreciated from this board member. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Tatum.
Okay, Dr. Schumacher is a tough act to follow tonight. You know, I don't believe that I have had any committee meetings since the last time the board met. But I do want to kind of circle back around to the comment that Mr. Hare made earlier in tonight's session. Mrs. Stewart Campbell and I last Friday did have a chance to go and visit Jardine Middle School. And of course, I had been promising Mr. Hare for probably about a year and a half now that I was going to come and visit. So it was wonderful to be able to do that and to see the things that are happening at Jardine Middle School, including the program that is really working to try to create a stable educational platform for the students that we have that come in that don't speak English as their first language. There are kids from a variety of Latin American countries there, alongside kids from Ukraine. And they're great kids, and we went in and interacted with them, and we're really impressed with the type of learning that they're doing in tandem. They're all learning the same things together. And the kids who speak Ukrainian or Russian are actually learning Spanish, and the kids that are speaking Spanish are learning Ukrainian. And they're all learning English together. So there's a lot of work that's gone into this basically pilot program that appears to be working very well. So shout out to Mr. Hare and the educators at Jardine Middle School that are making these things come together. Also, I would be remiss if I did not give a shout out to TCALC's Legacy Cafe students who fed us this evening. Here's their menu for those of us that aren't on the board and didn't actually get to bite into this scrumptious meal. Pulled pork sliders, applewood smoked jerk seasoning, mango slaw, and barbecue. These are the ingredients of the sliders. There was a Hawaiian rice, which was steamed rice with fresh pineapple, cilantro, onions, and lime juice, and snickerdoodle cookies made with classic cinnamon and sugar flavors. It was all wonderful. I didn't eat all mine, so I'll be taking it home and eating the rest of it at home tonight, enjoying every single bite of it, but absolutely appreciate the students who came together to feed us tonight, and want to invite all of you students to do it again. Let's have an encore. And that's all I have.
Ms. Schmidt.
Policy Committee met on September 25th. During that meeting, we began discussing and reviewing the policies around open enrollment. So we're looking at the enrollment assignment of students, The regulation that follows under that, the student transfers and enrollment, out of district enrollment applications, transportation of transferred students to designated schools, and student transfers and enrollment for an exchange student guidelines. With those, we are going to have some things that are brought before the board. We reviewed those on September 25th. Our next meeting on October 19th, they will be presented to the board and we will approve a public notice. October 19th and 26th, through the 26th, there will be a public notice in the newspaper. November 2nd, we will have a public hearing, and then November 16th will be the final board approval for those specific policies. We also did, as was alluded to earlier, began reviewing our open records policies and what those look like. So there will be more to come on that. The other thing that I just wanted to say this evening is it's very easy to criticize and get very Karen, you know, when things don't go the way that we want them to go, or we're not happy with how something has happened. And I just want to commend our district. I think we do a really good job, our administration, of acknowledging the good. Because it's very easy to become a squeaky wheel with all things that are negative. And Dr. Anderson and team do an amazing job of honoring senior students, of honoring people in the district, our principals, our staff, the ones that are doing the hard work day to day. So just kudos to you guys for that.
Thank you very much. Let's take a look here. Couple of things. I attended one of our local family engagements at my kids' elementary school, and then they talked about social emotional well-being, but they also mentioned some of the things that we're seeing from young kids, which is the dangers and risks that evolve with social media. And I think that was important for them. I'm glad that they're bringing it up with us as parents so that we know the things that they're seeing and that we can do as much as we can to sort of help us as parents learn and try and figure out how we can best support our kids and create boundaries on the things that are acceptable and not acceptable. And obviously it starts with us as parents. And so at our local elementary school, they're seeing that and they're sharing information and resources with parents so that they can be best equipped to be able to sort of upfront, hopefully before, but as they're engaging in social media, know that there's a sort of expectations that we as parents need place on them, and they know that there are things that we are allowed and things that certainly are out of bounds. So I'm kudos to our local elementary school, Scott, to sort of bring that up. Let's take a look here as well. Last year I was a part of Advisors Excel that visited our local school and gave off great coats, and I believe that happened. Was it this week, Ms. Ramos? Yeah. So again, I just wanted to thank Advisors Excel for partnering with us. It's not cold right now, and I'm sure most of us aren't thinking about that, but some of our students and families need that support. And before we know it, the cold will be here, and those sort of things are desperately needed by some of our families. And obviously, if a child, if a student isn't safe, doesn't feel well physically, they can't learn. And so I'm just grateful for Advisors Excel to sort of organize this and have their employees be here and uplift some of our students who most need that sort of assistance. Lastly, I'll just say as Dr. Anderson mentioned, that our students that we have lost are in our thoughts and prayers, and I ask you all to keep them in yours as well. Thank you so much. Now I'm looking for a motion to adjourn. Is there a motion?
Mr. President, I move the meeting adjourned.
All in favor? All right. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.